This
some
conference will now be recorded.
technical background from your side. Are you familiarized with the Java and library? I mean Java concepts.
No, I am familiar with .NET, not Java.
Okay. Why I am asking is that Mule ESB is totally made upon Java components. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though you work, basically you will work on XMLs.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically under down the line. It is all Java.
Okay.
So, are you familiarized with XML?
Yeah.
You're familiar with the XML, right?
Yeah.
So basically, um, I'm my mode of teaching will be more on practical side. That is running sample applications and explaining you that. But because you are not familiarized with Java, I will try to include some bit of theoretical explanation at the beginning. Okay. So in
Okay.
the today's session, I will give you very high level um, presentation on Mule ESP. What's the purpose of Mule ESP, and
Okay.
how can I mean the very basic details of Mule ESP.
Mm-hmm.
So, as you can see, Mule ESP, why we are using Mule ESP, that's a big question, right? So, Mule ESP, there are many other um, competitors in market for Mule ESP, but Mule ESP is a champion on enterprise integration. When it
Okay.
comes enterprise integration, there is Mule ESP actually performs very well, and that is why integration on like in a in a server structure, the service
Mm-hmm.
oriented architecture setup, we can use WSO2, we can use Google APG, and we can use Dell Boomi. But to do a seamless integration in a sense, say, I will tell you one scenario. Say you have
Okay.
an application which has
Mm-hmm.
to interact with the Salesforce.
Mm-hmm.
Say if somebody makes a order in Salesforce, it has to it has to be notified, and it has to store that order in a Euron DB, and it has to make
Mm-hmm.
a push of the order details in a JMS queue. So
Okay.
you can imagine there will be at least three integration components. One integration
Mm-hmm.
component has to deal with Salesforce. One has to deal with a say, for example, JMS, say ActiveMQ. Uh, I'm saying ActiveMQ. ActiveMQ. Are you familiarized with ActiveMQ?
I am familiar with Microsoft MSMQ, but I think it's the same thing. Queuing messaging queue.
Yeah, yeah. Queue
That's the
messaging.
only thing.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
so all these things, if you do if you develop a application either in Java or in .NET from scratch, I mean, just tell me how many days it will take in .NET. It will take minimum of 2 weeks, right? How
Mm-hmm.
fast you do to make that application production ready? It will minimum take 2 weeks. How good the
Mm-hmm.
developer is. Let us go through
Okay.
all the cycles. It has to first interact with the Salesforce API, and it has to perform all the tuning, all the performance tuning has to be done on that side. Again, it has to communicate with JMS. In between, it has to it has to push some data into the database. So when it comes to Mule ESB, I can tell you, I will show you. All these applications can be developed within 1 or 2 hours. So that's the beauty of that's the word seamless integration comes into place. You as a
Okay.
developer, you do it in such a quick way that your production mean within say 3 hours, your application will be ready, up and running in Mule server. Okay.
Okay.
So enterprise service bus, that is why ESB, enterprise service bus, um, It's basically a architecture. You see, Mule ESB is a enterprise service bus. You can say Apache. There is Apache, Kafka. Kafka is there, Dell Boom is there. All there are ESPs. All these follows a particular service bus architecture. Okay.
Okay.
Now, when we say about a enterprise service bus, the main important main important component in this enterprise service bus is a communication channel. That is the heart of all these ESP products. Okay, so when it comes to Mule ESP, or we can consider this communication channel as a Mule execution flow. Okay, so when a Mule application is running, that means a Mule execution flow is happening. You got the point? Okay, so Mule execution flow is happening. That means it is basically all the components. See, all the components. Earlier, I was saying about the Salesforce, Apache MQ. All these components will communicate through this flow. 1 minute, Mathu. 1 minute.
Okay.
Okay. So all these components, Salesforce, all these components, it will communicate through this flow. And what is the basic work unit in a Mule flow? So basic work unit in a Mule flow is a Mule message. So Mule message, 1 minute, I'll show you. So Mule message, this is the basic work unit in a flow. So Mule message is an abstract concept. You will not see any object. I hope you are familiarized with the concept object. Are you familiarized with the concept object? Hello?
Yeah. Sorry, I was on mute. Yeah.
Okay. So you won't see any object with a name Mule message in a flow. Okay. Mule message as it is a abstract concept, but Mule message on every flow where a number of flow means, as I told you, it's a basic communication execution channel or execution. So where many message processors will be coming together and communicating with each other. So a Mule message will go through this flow, and you can access a lot number of details. Say, for example, your payload in that flow. When a when a particular Mule component is dealing with the Salesforce, it will be having a payload specific for that Salesforce. Once that payload comes in, once that payload means data, you consider some meaningful data. Payload means
Okay.
some meaningful data. Some meaningful data, if it is coming from the Salesforce, that data will be wrapped in a Mule message. Mule message, as it is not a Java object. You will see a different kind of Java object, maybe a stream Java object, maybe a ArrayList Java object. It depends upon how you treat your payload. But again, Mule message, in that Mule message, the payload will be coming, and some
Okay.
details related to this payload, that is some header, that is some inbound property, some attachment, that also you will get it from this Mule message.
So
Okay,
here, if I see the header inbound property, is it something you write it or it is already predefined?
these are all predefined.
Okay.
So the
You can
important part,
customize those?
No,
Okay.
we cannot
So
customize
whatever
it.
is defined there, only that you have to use it.
Exactly.
Okay.
I'll tell you. You are seeing a mule message diagram here. And in that mule message, you're seeing a message object as the outer boundary, right? In the as a wrapper of this all these diagrams, you see a message object, right? So message objects can be it will be a Java object. It can be a, as I said, it can be a stream object. It can be a array list object. It can be a lot many other different object.
Okay.
Okay, it is basically it can be that you will for a message object you will see a Java actual Java representation. Okay, inside that message object you will see a mule message. So again, this is a confusing part. Message object will be coming into picture. Inside that you will see a mule message. So what exactly is the outer the message mule message mentioned it here, and message mentioned it inside this portion. So this thing is that the message object, actually the message object, it also envelops the exception payload and attachment and variables. That means using some language, Mule expression language, you can say that it's a kind of it's not a proper programming language. It's a expression language used to access and to modify the variables or the elements in that object. Using that Mule expression language, we can actually read this exception payload, or we can attach a exception payload. This is and we can see the attachments. We can put an attachment. We can set a variable. We can read a variable. That all things can be done using Mule message object. Inside this is a message. Again, this will be another Java object where you will see inside that you will see a payload and inbound property, outbound property. So this, if you are feeling this a little bit confusing, I'll show you in a proper flow how this is working. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe that will be clear.
Okay. Now, coming again. So it's basically if you have used Java anytime before, or basically any web service, any web applications, if you have developed any web applications before, you might have noticed that for any web application, for any application, for its running, we need a we need a server, right?
Yeah.
If it comes to a web application, it will be a web server. I'm not sure about the .NET environment. .NET environment, you need only the .NET installation for the application running, right? But that application will be limited to your machine scope. Am I right? Or
Yeah.
in your set of machine scopes in a workstation, or in your network scope, basically, right? So Mule applications, once you made a Mule applications, you have to deploy it either in a Mule server or in Cloud Hub. Cloud Hub means your cloud setup that is provided by Mule. Okay. And how you develop the Mule applications? Mule applications are developed using a IDE, Integrated Development Environment, called Anypoint Studio. And this Anypoint Studio contains a embedded Mule ESB server. That means while development of Mule applications, you can actually make that application run in from your development environment, and you can do the debugging after running that Mule application. this functionality, if you have used Java, you can actually make some applications in Java, say some web applications, and you can deploy these applications in web server, something like Apache Tomcat or something like that. It's analogous to that.
Okay.
Okay. Now, again, Mule ESB is stateless. Stateless means it won't remember any information regarding to its state. So you know that HTTP is a stateless protocol, right? It won't hold any information regarding to its particular state, right? Okay. So these things are very much important. Anypoint Studio, where we will develop our applications, and ESB a standalone ESB server where we will deploy. So if we are deploying our applications in a standalone ESB server, we should have all the mechanism so that other people in our network will be able to access, or they will be able to hit our applications deployed in ESB server, Mule ESB server, and in Cloud Hub or in Cloud Hub. Now, for to make, if you say how we can install Anypoint Studio and Mule ESB server. Mule ESB server, there are two versions are there. One is Community Edition and one is Enterprise Edition. Enterprise Edition, you have to pay it and you have to buy it. Community Edition, you can you will get it free. Obviously, it will lack some features, some major features, I will say. But the version available in the Anypoint Studio, that is the development environment, it will be always Enterprise Edition. Okay.
Okay.
But we cannot use that one for a production purpose. There is a catch. We cannot run a development environment all the time, and it's basically on-demand running or on-demand deployment. By default, the embedded server in Anypoint Studio, it will not be running all the time. Okay. Now you need the JDK, the Java development environment. It's similar to .NET installations. For its running of Anypoint Studio, you need JDK 8. And Apache Maven is not a necessary thing. Only thing is when you want to build something, you need Apache Maven. Okay. So that is how that's very high level things about the Anypoint Studio, Mule ESB server, and Cloud Hub. Do you have any questions?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. Now let's move to so right now what I'm doing is that I am having the Anypoint Studio installed in my machine. Okay. So I can actually simply double click the exe file, and so that's what I did. Now it is asking what is a workspace of so workspace means a location where the applications you are going to make through this Anypoint Studio, it will be stored. Okay, so this is my workspace, Mule workspace 3. So this is my location. So this is it already has some kind of applications, some set of applications. That's okay. I'll if you want, I mean, basically I will create all these applications. I'll remove all these applications, and I'll create each and every applications from scratch, so that you will also come to know, because you are a very much beginner into this Java world and Mule. I'll create each and every applications in coming classes for future classes, so that you will come to
Mm-hmm.
know how to execute it. By the way,
Yeah.
are you comfortable with installing Java and up and running it?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, fine. So you should have this JRE home and Java home environment variable once you install
Yeah, they
Java.
are. Yeah, they
Okay,
are all
and
set up.
they're all set up. Sorry. Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope you have installed a 1.8 version of Java,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So what we did right now, I just clicked the exe. It asks for the
Mm-hmm.
workspace. What is the workspace location? I choose. It was showing me on default location, which I saved it before. Um, but when you run the Anypoint Studio for the first time, you have to mention it will give you some location. But actually, you can make a folder in your desired place, and you have to mention that folder as a workspace location. Why? Because
Okay.
that is a good practice.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, don't. So right now it was given this particular location, right? So this I was actually saved it earlier. Okay. So Anypoint Studio is again it's resource heavy. That is why it is taking some time to loading up. My
Okay.
workstation is 8 GB memory is having 8 GB memory, and no other application is running as of now. So
Okay.
still it will take some time. Just give it 2 minutes so that it will up and
Okay.
run. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, are you able to see the screen now?
Yep.
Okay, so this is how the Anypoint Studio will look like once it, I mean, once you develop a lot of many applications. So this will, what you are seeing is, say, in the left side, there is a pane called Package Explorer, right?
Mm-hmm.
So here it will list all the applications which you are under development, and on the right side there is a pan called Mule palette means. So in the Mule palette, so once you start development, so to start at the development, what you will create is you will simply go for new and start a Mule project. Once you have that Mule project, um, once that Mule project is coming in the left, so once you say, I'll show you, just simply show you for right now. So as you can see, it is basically asking for a project name, right? You see that? Hello,
Sorry, I was on
hello.
mute.
Are you
Yeah,
speaking
yeah,
to me?
I was on. Yeah, I was on mute. Yeah, I see the
Okay.
project name.
So basically, name which you have given here. Okay. Okay. So okay. So it's basically name which you are given will be shown here once the application is up and running. Now it is asking for runtime. So I
Mm-hmm.
have three Mule server versions in this setup. One is
Mm-hmm.
3.9 Enterprise Edition, other one is 3.8.3, and 3.9 Community Edition. So by default, I will choose 3.9. Okay,
Okay.
and Maven settings. Maven settings, which is not required, at least for you, but later on, when it comes to production, people will use Maven for sure. So
Mm-hmm.
Maven is a Java build tool. You want to build your applications, or you have to pack your applications in a specific file format or something with all the dependencies. You will use Maven or Gradle, something like that. Here Mule supports Maven. So
Okay.
so if I check this, then it was to I have to provide the group ID, artifact ID version. Artifact ID will be the say if I want a jar file, the artifact ID will be the name of that jar. Just understand that bit. And
Okay.
git ignore is nothing but if you want to do a version control of that particular a Mule project, after putting into some Git repository and something, then you need a git ignore file to ignore those files from the version control. API kit settings, it's API kit settings. I will explain you. It's basically creating the skeleton of API using API kit component. So if I check API kit settings, it will be expecting a API definition. API definition means Mule purpose, as I said you, Mule, when you make a application or when you make a application and deploy it in a production environment, many times those Mule applications will act as an API. API in a sense.
Okay.
Earlier I told you that we have, what if we make an application, Mule application which interacts with Salesforce, ActiveMQ and DB as well. So this Mule application, it has to be accessed by all the developers or all the end users, target end users, right? How they will access it? So for that purpose, you will define that application as a API. Okay, so that all these end users fire HTTP request, or all your other developers fires HTTP request to that application, so that it can be accessible. So most of the Mule applications you develop, you will define the interface to that Mule application as a REST API. Basically, you can access those applications through HTTP call. If that is confusing, just understand. API means application programming interface. It's a way of it's basically a way of interacting with your projects or with your applications through HTTP protocol, so that it will be easy for you to say to pass certain in data into that particular application. Say you want to check some order in Salesforce and you have a set of list of users with you. You can pass all this list to that API and make that application to check in a Salesforce what are the orders given by all these users, something like that. So for all these things, you need an interface with that application. So you make that application as an API, and then that application. So if you make an application as an API, I'm talking about Mule application, you need a RAML file. These all things are concepts in Mule, RAML file, API kit components, all I will explain very much in detail in future classes. Just for your understanding now, RAML file is a API definition file. So when I check this particular add API kit components, what it is expecting a RAML file from any particular location, and once it gets a RAML file, it will make the skeleton out of it, so that you have to actually work on top of that skeleton to complete your API Mule application. Okay. So right now I'm not checking it. If you have any questions in between, just shoot. Don't wait for me to finish my speech. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll simply click next. It is asking default location. This is the workspace location it is talking about, and it is asking what is JRE I should use. And working sets, project layout, how the folder structures and everything should displayed. Working sets, how many projects, this all working sets, it means like if you can add 5 or any number of projects to make a working set, so that it basically it will display all these things in a very much more different manner. Okay. This or the working set is not important because normally you will ignore these checks.
Okay.
Okay. So default output folder, all name getter target classes. This is nothing. Just understand this is a folder structure of a Mule application. I click finish. What it will do? it has already created a okay, it has created an application named name getter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that was the name of our application. So this is a basic folder structure of a Mule application. You see this?
Okay. Okay.
Okay. I
By
drop
default, it
down.
creates that.
By default, it will create that. Okay.
Okay.
So this is the Mule server edition which you choose. It is acting as a dependency. It will be attached to this application. Okay, and JRE. It is also the Java dependency, JRE dependency. So if you see, so this, just understand, this is a basic folder structure. All these things I will explain in detail.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and SRC main app, where it is mentioned as flows, right? So here, and you see some rabbit icon, right? So this is a flow, a Mule XML file where you will have your Mule flows. Okay, I'll explain you flows and everything in later. Just understand
Mm-hmm.
flows, as I told you, is a basic communication channel in any Mule application.
Okay.
Okay, and once you have this application ready, this Mule palette on the right side will come into picture. So I can add a HTTP component from palette here, so that it comes as a big it comes and it makes a flow. So this is a image representation. If you see the XML representation, it actually creates a flow name with a flow. It creates a flow with a flow name. Okay.
Okay.
Now it is having a HTTP listener in that flow. HTTP listener, these all things I will explain. HTTP listener means a HTTP component which binds to a particular IP and a port where it will listen or to a request, incoming request. Okay. So that is, give me 1 minute. I'll just return back. Okay.
Okay. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yeah.
Sorry, my network connection got disrupted. That's why. Sorry for that.
Hey Johnson, sorry, yeah, I gotta go. Okay.
Okay.
I really appreciate for your time.
Okay.
I understood what you said till now, but actually I thought of it 30 minutes, but I think it's further than that. I already have another thing scheduled. I'll catch up with you later. Is that fine?
Fine. That's fine, Madhu. Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Okay.